What's up, everybody? Craftsman update. Finally got the batteries for my camera, so I charged them up, and now I can give you a kind of a detailed look at what I did instead of just driving it around in front of you. As you can see, I got the hood on there. It's not totally done. It's on there, but I only trimmed one side where the wheel almost contacts it. It's actually pretty close. I'll probably trim it a little bit more, because now that it's got weight on there, it pushes a little harder. But for the most part, it should steer and function and not touch. So anyways, I'll show you what I did to the front end to make it move so much, articulate so much. But first, I'm going to grab this tractor and pull it out of the barn here, because I can't lift it up anymore with the jack stands, because they just don't do the trick. They're too low. So I gotta basically chain it to the ceiling with that winch right there. That's what I've been using. It's just strapped to the ceiling with an old mower belt, and it picks the front end of the tractor up. Or what I'm going to use today is this old homemade engine hoist, so I can get it outside, because there's not really much light inside the barn right now. So I'll get out here, get it jacked up, and show you what I did. So before I go jacking this thing up, I'll show you a couple things that I've recently changed on this guy. Like I said before, the hood's been trimmed. This is only the one side. I tried to keep that contour kind of stock looking. It clears for the tire for the most part. I have to trim it up a little bit more. Trim the front half. There's what needs to be trimmed all the way around this side. But you can look and see the shifter's been changed now. It was a Toyota handle, but that wasn't working. It was too small, too short, and you didn't really have enough leverage, so it was impossible to find the gears. Now, you probably could have seen in the last video. So this is kind of a modified version of the original shifter, and it works pretty good. Much smoother. You got a little bit more throw there to play with, so it's actually a lot nicer. The spindle extension mod, same way I normally do it. Cut the head off of a bolt and weld it to the end of the stub shaft there, the spindle shaft, and put 2 bolts on it with a lot of washers. And it took to it quite nicely. Nice tight fit. Everything works good. I put some steering stops in. You probably could have seen in my last video that it needed them. Well, now it's got them. And there you go. It's right there. Right on. Actually, those are the heads of the bolts that I cut off to do the spindle mod. So I actually used both pieces. Had to grind them down a little bit to get them to fit, but they work quite well right there. Let's get this baby up off the ground. Like I said in my last video, it has 12 inches of articulation now. Basically meaning when this wheel's all the way up to when this wheel's all the way down, it moves a total of 12 inches on the center of the tire, which basically means it will climb a 12-inch rock without ever lifting a tire and dumping you off the side, which my Murray kind of does. So the way I did that was, you can see right there the old bolt hole, that right there. That's where the axle used to set, up in this C-channel right there. And what I did was ground a little kind of a groove in the bottom and set a large piece of pipe, this piece of pipe right here, and it's about 2.5–3 inches long. And what it does is it sets just centered below where the old hole used to be. It's supported by these 2 big pieces of 1/8-inch steel, flat steel, and this big threaded rod goes through the whole thing. 2 jam nuts right here on this side, and on the inside, more of the same. You can see those 2 steel supports coming down. There's the other piece of pipe, another 2 or 3 inches of pipe right there, and the back side of the nut, which is actually welded to the back side of the threaded rod, just to make it easier to take it on and off. It just kind of comes right out as one big rod, and the whole axle drops out. The steering is all 100% original, basically meaning it's all what came on the tractor. I modified almost nothing. The control arm that comes down is still the original one, still hooks up to the same original doohickey that steers everything, and that runs down to the left wheel, and that left wheel basically turns the right wheel with the one pitman arm, I guess is what you call it. There's my new steering stop right there. Let's see how good that works. That's basically the only thing I changed on the steering. It all worked perfectly fine lifted. You can cycle the suspension totally up and down, steer to either lock, and there's no binding, nothing really feels loose or bent. You can see that that drag link thing, whatever you want to call it, is hanging down pretty low right there. But still, I don't really think it's low enough to be a huge issue. If it does become an issue and I bend the living crap out of it, then I'll just build something better and stronger that won't break. So there you go. Like I said, it's not really done, the front end especially. I gotta do some sort of springs or shocks. I was thinking like these things, these gas charge shocks you get in hatchbacks, or they hold up your hood in your car sometimes, and put one of those on each side to hopefully stabilize everything, sort of triangulated so it pushes sort of down at an angle on each side, more or less like this in a way. I gotta figure out a mount how to do that once I get to that point. It's also going to need a pretty beastly front bumper. I plan on smashing it into some stuff, so I need it to basically protect all the work that I've done. So probably a big front bumper is in order. Don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet, but we'll figure something out. And I got put on new rear tires at some point, bigger ones, probably tall and skinny, to keep the stress down on the transaxle. But other than that, I'm just going to keep chipping away at this thing, and I'll update you guys when I got something pretty cool to show you, hopefully. One more thing I want to tell you guys, if you want to kind of get more detailed progress of things I've already done, or as I'm working on it, I kind of update a little more often on a website than I do YouTube, just because it's easier. But I'll put the link in a sidebar, and you guys should check it out. I'm not the only one doing a build there. There's lots of people doing builds there. And you can do one there too. It's really easy. It's easy to join. We're all a bunch of laid back people, so you guys should check it out.